Well, welcome back to Real Estate You Need to Know. The topic of the day is results absolutely matter. So, when you're choosing a real estate agent, you need to make sure that they can produce the results that you're looking to accomplish. And obviously, if that's listing, it's selling your home. If it's buying, that you're getting the best deal, finding the right location, getting everything that you need. And that is the basis for the conversation today. So, in terms of listing and results actually mattering, you really need to make sure that the house is set up for the market in terms of the agent that you've chose is going to do a full walkthrough with you, show you exactly what they recommend that you need to do to the house to get it ready for the market. And then they will talk to you about a pricing strategy and make sure you listen to what the agent says in terms of the pricing strategy. More often than not, a seller has a price in mind that isn't necessarily what could be ascertained in the market, and it likely couldn't appraise for that specific number. So, a conversation between the parties, really thoroughly going through the market analysis that has been prepared for you, is critically important. You need to price it according to the market, according to the location, and according to the data. So if you do all of those and you listen, then it's up to your listing agent to really follow a very specific protocol that they have for marketing the house and getting the most exposure. The most exposure for the house will get you the most results and will get you the best price. So in a nutshell, that is the listing portion of it. Now, in representing a buyer, it's very critical that you let them understand that you have the experience that you do, the reason why they chose you, and then really truly understand what they're looking for in terms of location, price point, and help them think outside of the box, potentially areas they may not have really thought about, or products in the market they may not have thought about. For example, I've had a lot of people that have contacted me and said, we're looking for a condo, X location, X price point. They weren't thinking potentially about a townhouse, a small single family residence, or different variables, even locations for that standpoint. So it's really important that as a selling agent, that you're giving the potential buyer all the options, showing them your experience in terms of giving them good advice, giving them things to think about. Don't buy too high of a price point so your house poor. And there's just so many, different variables you have to help them with along the way, getting to a smooth closing. So that is the topic of the day. And I guess I covered two, but I better having two than none. So, anyways, I hope this helped and have a great day. So, the topic for today on what you need to know is experience matters. This is a critical element in terms of anybody hiring a real estate broker for them, whether listing or selling. The more experience that an agent has, the more likely that they have dealt with many, many scenarios and can really give you professional guidance in terms of what they would suggest and how to move forward with experience that they've had dealing with that very situation. Some of the examples that I can tell you are getting into a negotiation on your inspection. One of the things that I have found over many, many years of doing this is that the best way, in my opinion, to do this is to have a conversation with the other agent. Verbally go through what it is that you have came up against and get their thoughts on it. Have them discuss it with their clients and see if there can be a mutual resolve verbally rather than just texting them or emailing them what you believe the best outcome is without any communication. Listing properties, which I do a lot, I always prefer if an agent would contact me and give me an idea of what it is that they're trying to accomplish, the reasons why, and potentially the likelihood of this being an amicable solution for my clients. And then once we have it done verbally, it's a lot easier to go in and get this in writing and get everyone to sign off so you have mutual acceptance. So with all this being said, it just goes back to the fact that experience matters. It is so critical. There's been so many times as a listing broker where I have dealt with people that are inexperienced, and without contacting their managing broker to get direction, they come in with things that aren't reasonable, that don't make sense, and typically will not get approved by a seller. So it's really important that the agent that you choose has a lot of experience in what they do, and they really can give you very sound guidance. So number one, you discuss a plan with your agent and they tell you what they would recommend based upon the experience that they've had. And then you establish this plan, and then you let your agent follow up and get this in the best situation they possibly can with the other party, and then you move forward accordingly. I can't tell you how many times this has really saved deals for my clients and made them in a much better position. And then we know that it will get signed off by all parties, and then you follow up in writing and get it done. So that is, my number one, having an agent. So number two, having an agent that will represent you and negotiate properly on your behalf. You cannot go in as a buyer, do an inspection, and ask for absolutely everything in a report. I guess that's depending if the market is extremely soft where you're at, and that's possible. But I would say the likelihood, at least in my market, is that's not likely or probable. So you go through an inspection, you pick out the items that are of significance, assuming that the transaction shouldn't fail because they are so unsurmountable that no matter what they said in terms of what you request, it wouldn't make a difference. But you identify those, you have a very good discussion with your agent in terms of what's realistic, what it is, and then your agent will go back to the listing broker at that point and discuss it with them, get their input. Sometimes they don't know, because they really don't know, but at least then they can discuss it with the seller and get an idea as to what's realistic, what isn't. And then you put your inspection response in, and you have a much better chance based upon, a pre-negotiation verbally rather than just going in and giving that to them. I'll give you an example. Recently, I was in a transaction where I was a listing broker. Another agent came in, and we had discussed all the things that they had asked for. I had given my recommendation as to what I believe the seller would do. I, of course, first confirmed that with the seller. We had a very long, pointed discussion. And even after that, they had still came in and asked for things that they knew that they wouldn't get. I do believe at this point it may make our transaction fail, which is unfortunate because we really did have a very solid resolve for them, but they chose to take their own path, and there's nothing I can do. So today will be the final day in which we find out if it really killed our deal or not. So I just want to give you some examples, but the bottom line is experience really does matter. It does. So choose your agent wisely. Make sure that this isn't their first transaction. They have experienced a lot of transaction by years in the business, and they really have a good track record as to getting things done. Their reviews can tell you a lot on their Google reviews as to have people been satisfied with them. Has their experience been good? Has the transaction seemed to flow well? And did they like the communication? Was there any issues? So those are just a few points that I have for you. So I hope that helps, and make it a great day.